I would love to hear, I know some of you guys posted in the group, like what are you most looking forward to? I also would like to know, I think most of you have come from the 10 books in 10 days. This class is like a really good next step. You really need to have that foundation. I'll tell you what we're not going to be doing is covering how to publish a book in KDP. That should be something you already know how to do. If you don't, it's something you need to figure out. Or you can join the 10 books in 10 days class. I think we're going to do another one in May, and then apply this to what you learn there. I just want to make sure this is not about the basics of how to create and publish a book on KDP. Once you have that main process down, this is a really good next step to bump up your revenues and build out a revenue stream. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But I'm curious in the chat. So there's only a few of you on here. Oh, maybe I should try broadcasting one more time. We'll give it a few more minutes. What are you wanting to get out of this class? So we have 4 weeks together. At the end of the 4 weeks, where do you want to be? Tammy and I were just talking. This is the second time we've done this class together. Tammy took the 10 books in 10 days. What was it? September, October?
That's September. Yeah.
It was the first one that we did, and she's just run with it and has developed an incredible process, has some really good gems to share. I'm so excited. And I'm just really excited. I'm so excited to see what you guys are going to do with this and to hear some of the things that she's come up with and some things that her and I brainstormed together. Just thrilled to be able to share these with you. And I totally lost my train of thought, but if you guys in the chat just share where do you want to be at the end of the 4 weeks together? And so the chat, it looks like most of you have figured it out, but the default when you're typing your message is to just have it go to the panelists, which is Tammy and I. So if you want to have everyone who's on the call see it, which is nice because then you guys can be inspired and encouraged or help each other out with questions, make sure right above where it says type message here in the chat, it says to, and there's a pull down. It's like it's blue on my screen. I don't know if it's blue on everybody's. It says to all panelists. That's the default. You want to change that. It's a pull down menu to say to all panelists and attendees. So faster money by offering to businesses. This is so. Yeah, we'll talk. I want to make sure we get more people on, but is there anybody lost in the group? Let's see. I might try to broadcast one more time before we actually start, but just want to refresh and see. Only 4 people have seen my.
So one lady is in the creative publishing. She doesn't see the link for B2B.
Okay, go over there. Building a business while having fun. Ding, ding, ding. Love that answer.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey. I can't wait to share this with everyone because it's just something that just started and it takes off like wildfire, and you guys are gonna love it. You guys are just gonna love this. Some particular ideas. People has particular business ideas and organize it as a process for approaching and pitching and executing. Yep, that's what we'll go over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so and once you get into this, you kind of go, oh, it's not that, I was going to say it's not quite as simple as you might think it is up front. There's actually a lot of things. I know, Tammy, you were just before we were talking about what we're going to cover next week, and that was kind of your sticking point. That's where you kind of hit a wall. Mm-hmm. And didn't anticipate that, I imagine, going in, like didn't think about that as being an issue.
Right.
So what's cool, so there are tips and things, and I just love the way that we can present this to you guys. I know that we have people who were in the class last time are in this class as well, and hopefully we'll, our goal, we really want to move you guys to action, just like in the 10 books in 10 days. This will not do you any good sitting on it, okay? Mm-hmm. This is great information and you might be all excited about that, but it won't do anything for you unless you take action. So we're going to do whatever we can to help you do that, but it's still up to you guys. Okay, awesome. All right, great. Thanks for all the feedback there, guys, on the on here. Please feel free to speak up for with any questions you have. Use There's not very many people in here, so you could probably post them in the chat, but to make sure we don't miss them, there's a Q&A area there on Zoom, and you can post your questions in there, and then they won't get lost if people are posting in the chat. I think I'm going to try one more time to go live, and then we'll jump in. While I'm doing that, actually, let's do this first. I'm going to start the slides. Do you want to go over our schedule and just what can be expected? I will share the slides so you can see it.
Okay.
Or you could just guess.
Thanks, Jen.
Anytime. There, can you see that?
I can.
Okay, so I'll try to go live while you're going over that, and then we'll jump in.
Okay. So the class schedule is going to be, today we're just going to go over who to approach and how to approach, because that's a big part of a lot of the questions we've had is who are we going to approach and how. And then we have Wednesday, May 8th, class 2, and that's on pricing strategy. We've come up with a lot of solutions to help you with pricing because it does get a bit complicated, and that was my sticking point. I didn't have any problem approaching businesses, getting them on board, but the actual pricing and making the money and getting everything set up was a little sticking point for myself. So we've come up with solutions for that, and we'll help you get through that as well. Class 3 is going to be Wednesday, May 15th, and it's about delivering your books. There's a few ways to do that, about how to actually get the books to the people, the business owners, and how to present them, and we'll go over more of that. And then May 22nd is our 4th class, and that's a Q&A. So you guys can ask us questions that you have as we get done with everything. And all the classes start at 5 Pacific time.
Perfect. I think we're going to make it this time. So we are going to broadcast in the group. So,
okay.
In fact, I think we're live. I don't have Facebook up, so I'm not totally sure, but I think we're live right now. So if you guys, so sorry, we've had some technical difficulty. And so we have invited you guys to join us on the Zoom call, but I thought, let's try one more time to see if we can broadcast it live in the group. And ta-da,
I think we are.
Looks like it's working. So give me 1 second to get
we're
my
live.
multitasking in order, and we'll jump right in. I'm sorry guys for the, it's gonna be slow for me. So we were just going over the class schedule. Haven't missed anything really yet. 1 second. There we go. Okay, so now we have 3 places to look for questions: the Facebook, the chat, and Q&A. So just giving you a heads up there. Oh, awesome, Tim. You're partnering with some schools. Awesome. I have found,
great.
We homeschool, and I found that, well, that's interesting. Is it broadcasting in the group? It tells me that the video's ended.
Oh, in Facebook?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyway, I found with the, I don't know if it's going to work or not, that in the homeschooling community, it's a really great foot in the door with parents, and with that, just in that area, to talk about publishing books. Every parent wants their kid to publish a book, even if it's a journal. So there's a lot of opportunity just to partner maybe with co-ops even too. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't know if it's going in Facebook or not. My thing's just freaking out. So we'll just keep going. Okay. I cannot monitor the comments though in there. Are you able to see?
Let's just see here. Yeah. Yeah, it says you were live, but you're not live anymore.
That's so weird. Okay.
So
much for that. All right. Well, let's just move on. Okay. It's live. Weird. I don't know what's going on. So if we're live and we're looking really stupid because we don't, at least me, because I'm like, where are we? I can't find us. Something's up for me with Facebook. I'm going to just ignore it, and we'll go to the comments when we can on my phone, or if you catch any.
Yeah, I'll try to catch them. Yeah.
So, okay, so you can see my screen. Let's just start. Let's dig in. So Tammy real quick went over the schedule. We're just going to be meeting every Wednesday at 5 o'clock Pacific time. And the plan is to broadcast in the Facebook group. But regardless, we will get, we'll either do it this way where we have you guys on Zoom and we'll record it and post that recording, or it'll be broadcast and then it'll be available immediately after. So we didn't talk about how we're going to split this up, but I'll just drive it and you just jump in, and I'll probably lean on you for a few points for sure. We are talking about, okay, I want to just kind of set this foundation. Most of you have come in after taking the 10 books in 10 days, or you already know how to create a book and publish it on KDP, okay? And one of the things that we've talked about in the whole 10 books in 10 days is based on low content and no content books. And so what we mean by that, excuse me, is journals or workbooks, these types of books that are listed on this slide. Even a cookbook can be a low content book. You're not writing a story. There's not a lot of, there's not a lot for you to do on the content in the manuscript. Right. Okay, there might be some formatting, but usually it's like lines or a table of some sort, a chart, a prompt, you know, something along those lines. Those are what we're looking at, not going in and being a author in the traditional sense of what an author is, and writing out a novel. We're not talking about that. So you can. So what I wanted to mention real quick, and I don't have a slide for this, is the thing that what you already know is the foundation. And now there's lots of ways you can take that and build revenue streams, or and you can do all of these if you wanted to. But one of them would be to take what you know and now go write your book that you've been wanting to write all your life, and now you know how to self-publish it. Or go to authors, people who have a message, let them write their book and you work with them to publish it, okay? That's one way that you can use what you know. Another way is if you are selling on Amazon, you can bundle. This is an amazing, amazing strategy. If you have, I talk about this a lot, the springform pans, they're a special kind of baking pan that you would make like a cheesecake in, or ice cream pie kind of a thing in, or ice cream cake. All kinds of things you can make in a springform pan. And so let's say you are selling springform pans, you could be private labeling them, or you could just be even just selling them as RA, or even wholesale, okay? If you're selling on Amazon, those should be familiar terms for you. If you have a cookbook that is all recipes that go with that for cooking with springform pans, you create the cookbook in KDP, that costs you nothing, but you order author copies, you create bundles where you're selling as a bundled single unit, the pans and the cookbook. You now have two listings. So you have your book and then you have your bundled listing, okay? Now your book might sell for $20. That adds $20 perceived value to your bundle. So it's a really great way to increase your perceived value on a bundle and add credibility, because people can go and look at the price of your book and go, oh man, maybe both of those together is 30 for the pans and the book. And people think I'm getting a deal here because the pans by themselves are 15. The book by itself is 20. I'm getting the whole thing for 30. That gives credibility to your price point, but your costs are really low. So bundling with KDP is an amazing strategy as well. And I found a lot of people, they haven't done the 3 R's that we talk about for validating when they're bundling, because they're so focused on this bundle piece. And even so, they sell books and they're like surprised to just be selling the books by themselves, because that's not why they created it. They created that so that they could bundle, and they're surprised that the book is bringing in a revenue stream all on its own. So that's 2 ways, right? So you could do KDP on its own to write an actual chapter type of a book, or work with authors. You could do bundling. You could dig deeper into this and really learn what customers are looking for and build out a product line through print on demand or other ways. One example, and we can dig into this later if you want to, but I noticed there was this really neat daisy journal. It's like a dark blue painted daisies on the front of a journal. And it was one of the better sellers. And then if you scroll down on that listing, it had other things that people bought. And funny thing, there were note cards that had that same graphic. There was a mug that had that same graphic. There was a t-shirt that had the same graphic. So what you could do is find a key phrase like, blue, like a painted daisy journal, painted daisies. Maybe people are looking for something. I'm trying to think of a good key phrase, and I haven't validated this, but whatever the key phrase is, you put a bunch of journals up, and this is the one that's selling. So you're seeing customer activity Then you go and build out a product line on that. People like this daisy journal. They like this painted one over the one that is a photograph, or over this other cartoony one. And so this painted picture, this image, this cover art is what's selling over and over. So now that tells me that there's an interest in the art. So I'm going to build out a product line on that piece of art. That's another way you could use KDP. It costs you nothing, remember, to be testing. So think in terms of, how can I test markets with KDP?
Yeah, that's great. That's great ideas for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then the last one, and it might not be the last one, but right now it is, is what we're going to be talking about. And that is partnering with companies or businesses, or even, entrepreneurs, for low content and no content books, customized. We'll talk about how Tammy approaches them. It's pretty cool. And what's really neat about this is there's not a whole lot of work on your end, because they're low content and no content. And it's a pretty easy sell. People, they're hungry for this, and they don't even realize it until you start sharing what you do. Then all of a sudden their wheels start turning, and it's like, it doesn't stop. We all know how that is.
Exactly.
So we're going to be talking about finding and approaching businesses. And the first thing, move this over. The first thing you want to talk about this? We were talking about looking for the low hanging fruit. Like, what do you have easy access to and starting there? You could approach businesses just cold, right? Cold calls. But how would you recommend pursuing that?
Well, basically, when we talked about this, is I go after people that I've already sort of have a relationship, so a warm lead. So if it's a gym you're going to, if it's maybe a therapist, not necessarily your therapist, but a therapist in a group that you belong to, you can go in and it's people that you really just have already conversations with, or have, someone you're around. So think about the people that are around you that that own businesses that this may work for. And then I like to just say that, I create books and this is what I'm doing. Because people ask you what you're doing all the time. And this subject can come up. And so I really want you guys to think about, who do you know, who's around you? So you don't have to be afraid it's going to be a cold call, because I know that's a bit scary for people to make this cold call. But really I'd start right from the beginning with someone you have a relationship with.
Absolutely. Sorry, I'm trying to answer. There we go. Okay. And then the next thing is to look at not just who you know, but what do you know? And that might start getting you into thinking, that might open doors more to who you know that you didn't realize you knew,
I see Rebecca here says about she just moved to a new town. And I was thinking a lot about this. And you can also we have such great connections now with Facebook and Instagram. It can be, Jenny brought up one time, influencers, somebody that you think that could maybe use your service. So it doesn't necessarily have to, if you just moved to a town, which I just moved to Colorado 2 years ago. So these are all new people for myself, but I have my chiropractor I go to, and then you can start talking to the receptionist there, and then her daughter owns a business, and that'll fit for her, so it can be these warm leads. It's a conversation you're having all the time, but you just kind of start putting, like Jenny likes to say, your glasses on and looking at this in a different light. And so even being new to a town, think about all the people that you have visited to, appointments that you go to, hairdressers you go to, you're starting to go to. Like I said, the Instagram, the Facebook page is a great way that you already have those connections.
Right. And, we did talk about this, that you can, sorry, I'm trying to let people in at the same time. And this is really hard to multitask.
I'll try to.
No, we're good. I just realized I let them into the wrong group, but Okay.
Jobs you've held, something like that. It could be something that I was a former hairdresser, so I could use that as an example for myself. I've also worked with nutritionists. Since I moved out to Colorado, I started working for a company, was a nutrition company. And so I have that knowledge now, and I have people that are nutritionists and trainers in those fields. So look at what jobs you've held and who were around those jobs, and could they use your service? For sure.
Right. I was thinking about going, like, if you're new and you're not in the area where you have held jobs, the idea of going online and being able to, you can still reach out to the places that you know from where you were.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have to be, can you speak to that just a little bit?
Sure. Yeah, I'm originally from Northern California, and I lived in the wine country, Sonoma area, and that really started getting my wheels going about a wine log, and directly targeting companies that I know my friends own wineries. So I'm going to reach out to them more. That's on my list, because sometimes you get this ball rolling and you know, it's so much to do that, but wineries are one way I'm going to go after some businesses that I already have relationships with, owners, and ask them and see if it could just be a customized log for their winery. So that's somebody, and I could do that online because I have them as Facebook group friends. And
right. And you just use Zoom. Or like,
yeah, Zoom call. There's a messenger call on Facebook also I've used.
Oh, I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, I used that one just recently. That was just like Zoom, pretty easy, right off your Facebook page. Just connect up with people.
Yep. Okay. And then what experience do you have? So sometimes these might sound like they're all the same question, but they're really not. And sometimes we're just trying to trigger your mind to think, who do I know? And we'll look next at how the types of people you're looking for. So we're going to put these two together, but what experience do you have? Where do you frequent? You know, like you were saying, you know, maybe even if you're new to a town, you got to find a hairdresser. You're going to find a, you know, a gym or a dentist, or, you know, there's lots of opportunity out there.
There's also Colorado's realtors are great, because you might have met one already because you moved somewhere new. We have a lot of breweries here in Colorado, and that might be something. You just go to a brewery, and if you're hanging out there and maybe get to know, talking to the waiter, waitress, or owner, you could create a log for them, their personal log of the brew.
Right. Well, okay. So I was at I shared this in one of the groups in the 10 books, I think, and maybe in the Creative Publishing Insiders group. And I was at a coffee shop, and they had 4 little booklets, and I'm thinking they're doing this all wrong, and maybe I should go back and talk to them. They had 4 little booklets that they didn't, I don't think they published. They came in like a little cardboard display, and they're, you know, they're just little things. And one of them was a coffee taster's journal. One was whiskey, beer, and wine. Okay. And every page was the same on the inside. You could totally go to a coffee shop or a brewery or any of those things and offer to partner with them. And we'll talk about how to have that discussion, how to have that conversation with them, how to start the conversation in a minute. But those are the types of places that you're looking for. And if you're there as a customer, and you go, you know, maybe you go a couple times, and then you're like, hey, I love your restaurant, and this is something I'm doing, and would love to see can I talk to your manager? And just the fact that you have already complimented them by showing up, you're a customer, they're going to come out, and the manager will come out and listen to you. And who knows where that will go, but you are there as, you're not just walking in, you're there dining, you're there as a customer, and that speaks volumes and kind of gets their attention. So that you can have be heard, earn that right to be heard. You don't always.
And I also I have, when I did 10 days and 10 books in 10 days, I created the books, like you know, the 10 books, and that's all I had. I didn't have anything, you know, specific for their business, but I was able to show them the books that I had, and actually hand it to them, and they looked at it. They were really liked the quality of the book and how I did it.
That's awesome. So the types of places you want to look for, and this is not all inclusive. And if you want to have a brainstorm in the Facebook group, we can go for a long time. Once you start thinking in this way, all of a sudden, like Andrew, I think just posted the wheels are turning, the wheels are spinning. Watch out. You guys
Andrew's like,
my goal is to make it so you can't sleep tonight. How's that?
You tend to do this to us, Jen.
Yeah, and I'll be on Facebook. So if you want to chat in the middle of the night,
that's it.
So usually I'm up, and I'm up late anyway, but I'm usually up late. But anyway, so start thinking this way. Put those glasses on, the filter. So you're looking through the lens of KDP. How can I serve these businesses? That's what you're looking for. How can they better serve their clients? And how can I help them do that through KDP? That's what this is about. And when you have that perspective, then it's much easier to have a conversation with them, because it's about how can I serve so that you can serve better, instead of I'm trying to sell something to you. Okay. And they'll pick up on that this is something really valuable that they can offer that separates them from their competition, and is a value to their clients. Okay. So the gym, we've already talked about that briefly, but that's one of the places you went, was to your gym, and it was very well received. Do you mind sharing a little bit about that story?
Yeah, so that was one of my first businesses that I partnered with. Is I was just going to the gym next to my house and thought, well, he asked me how I was doing. The owner was there, and he's like, "How you doing?" "Doing well," and creating these books. And I said, "Yeah, I showed him. I go, look what I've been doing is these books." And he's like, "Wow, that's great." And I said, "Yeah, I can customize the book for each business." And he's like, "Really?" Because I've always wanted a book for my gym. And I thought, well, it's a franchise. So I thought he already had one, but he didn't. And he, all of a sudden, we started talking, and his wheels started going, and he's like, "Could you create this for me?" And I said, "Absolutely." And we just sat down and figured everything that he wanted and how we wanted it set up. And we have a book now for his gym. And that's how sort of this all got going for me. And it's been great. So yeah, he was super excited. They know Amazon, they don't know about print on demand, and they know that they can get things so easily on Prime, and they understand Amazon, and they like it. So once you explain what you're doing, it opens up a lot of doors.
And when so them realizing you can get this also on Amazon, and it's something I can provide for my people. Okay, so then the next one is music. Can you speak to that one as well? Well, I'm going to respond.
Yeah, sure. So, if you guys, anybody that's into taking, know someone who gives music lessons, you can have them create a book specifically for their business. You could just make it have as a template. Well, not template. What do you call it, Jen?
The staffs.
Staffs, yeah, the staffs.
Sheet music.
Yeah, sheet music. Like you could do a booklet of 25 pages of just the staff, and then have their name on the front cover and information on the inside. So a music coach would be great.
And there's a lot of people that do piano lessons or whatever right out of their home. So how cool would it be for them to, instead of, they're buying those notebooks for the people, for their students to be able to, write their music on, instead of them telling them go buy that, or here's some that I have that you can buy from me. They have their own that's branded. It has their picture on the back and their information about the types of music lessons that they offer. How cool is that? So,
and one more thing on that, Jenny, is the one thing, I've owned businesses all my career, is I've always been a small business owner. The one thing that I noticed resonates with them, the customized is great, and also print on demand, so they don't have to have a stack of them sitting in their office of 1,200 books that they had printed, and now there's a mistake, or the change, like phone number change, or whatever has changed. Now these books are no good to them. Now they can buy as many as they want, 10 to 20 to 100. It's up to them. So depending on their finances and what they can afford or want to put out there, they can do it in smaller amounts of money also.
Yep. Okay. So that's then therapist or counselor. So let me see, I can't remember if business coach is separate, but anybody who's asking their clients to track something or to journal something is who you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So a therapist or a counselor, usually the first thing they say is go get a spiral notebook or a journal of some sort. And every day I want you to write like 5 things that you're thankful for in the morning. And then, you know, at the end of the day, write this or whatever. What if they had a branded journal that they could give to their clients, and on the back it has their picture and their practice information about their practice?
Yeah, so it becomes their business card in a sense. I do have mine. I could show you, Jenny, if you'd like.
Oh, cool. Yeah, let me unshare.
Okay.
So people can see.
So this is one of the journals, and inside is just, you know, the same gratitude and all the journaling there. But what I really like is this is her information.
Yep.
So this is her business card. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So just think of those type of things for sure.
Right. And we'll give you more ideas as we're going through, guys. We're going to equip you with how to approach them in a minute. So let's keep going. Trainers again. So, you know, we talked about gyms. So there's the physical trainers, but you know, other kinds of trainers, animal trainers,
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who's doing a fitness trainer, but outside of the gym, you know, maybe, I don't know, anybody who's training, I'm going kind of blank on who else other than the gym, that fitness niche, and dog trainers, maybe
horse trainers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So where they're going to be tracking stuff.
FFA, you know, there's FFA groups and
nutritionalists. So, you know, there's people, they say, track your food, write down everything that you're eating every day. Okay. Those are people, the nutritionalists will probably have them get a blank notebook, or they'll have them buy something on Amazon. Well, why not have them get their book and have it be customized even on the interior pages with what they want to do. And
that could be a cookbook too.
Could be a cookbook. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I'm doing a cookbook for a nutritionist.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So you could hit like the keto or, you know,
she's a keto specialist and she wants a cookbook, and we're doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So even like a naturopathic doctor.
Yep.
Anything along those lines. Addiction help. Again, you're thinking, okay, they're probably asking their clients to track something. Abuse, same thing. They're asking them to journal. Life coaches. Okay. So this is a little different than therapist and counselor, but it's the same idea. They're going to be asking them to journal. Business coaches, the first thing they do is say, go get a spiral notebook, and every day I want you to write out your goal for the day, or every day I want you to do this. You're leaving huge opportunity to on the table by not providing them with a branded notebook.
It's their business card. So think of it as the business owner. This is your business card that's in their hand every day. If you're having them use that.
Yep. Okay. I'm just looking at the sports coaches giving private lessons. Yep. That's where the trainer, where I was going blank, but yeah, definitely. And then, love this one, driver's ed.
Yeah. That's a great one.
They want to track their miles and stuff. Your KDP books don't have to be big. I love the one you showed. I love it. It's an 8.5 by 8.5, and it's square, which is so fun. Yeah. So it's a little bit custom in that sense. You can do any size. Almost. Yeah.
I have the, also this is a 5 by 8. That's the gym book.
Okay. But you can even go smaller. This might be 5 by 8. I don't think so. I think this is a 4 by.
Oh,
might be 4 by 6. It's pretty small. But, and this has 50 pages in it. It's not a really great big book. Yeah. But, and this isn't the same type of book, but, you only need 24 pages. Okay. So it doesn't have to be a huge thing. I just had another idea as I'm thinking about this. So this came from a blog basically that I have. And, I just felt like I needed to put some things into a book. And so I literally took my blog posts, which you can't, KDP doesn't want you to put content in that's readily available online. So what I did was I went to my blog posts that I included in that book, and I edited them. So I only had the first paragraph. And then I said, to get the rest of the story, go get my book on those particular blog posts. And then, but all I did was literally, I took those blog posts and I put them into this book. You could even hit bloggers.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great one too.
And then realtors, I don't know if you shared what that could look like.
Yeah, with realtors, I was since there's so many, I talked to a few realtors around our area and asked if they had any of their own customized books, and they did not, which I thought was interesting because they have a lot of printable items at hand.
Calendars and
Yeah, they do a lot. So we came up with a first time buying for first time buying or when you're selling your home, a checklist of how to prepare your house. Then it would have the realtor's information on the back or, and all the information. So it is their business card again, but it was a checklist. So it's something that the realtor can usually give away and gives value. And then the other one was anything more of a tracking of your home, like you're changing your filters, a checklist for smoke detectors.
Like what to do weekly, what to do monthly,
yearly,
what to do quarterly.
summer, fall. Yeah, exactly. So the other thing is once you make this content, you can use it as a template and then just put any realtor on the front and back, whatever information is. So you don't have to create the content over and over and over. You just need to create it usually once for a realtor or whatever you decide, and then just keep adding it into the book.
Right. And then again, that is something, so now they don't have to keep track of a business card. They don't have to, their clients, they don't have to have one of 10 calendars on their wall from the different realtors that they're on their mailing lists for. If in 5, 10, 15 years they're selling, they would have that book still. And on the back, it has the realtor's name. Now maybe their stuff changed, but still it serves as a way better kind of a business card than a calendar or an actual card.
Yeah.
Okay, we're getting some questions. I want to hit them at the end, but let's just see. Anyone who offers, Andrew said, potentially anyone who offers services or products to individuals or customers. Absolutely. Would you be able to cross-use very similar journals? Yep, she already said that. So whatever content you're creating on the inside, okay, so maybe the realtors are giving you the content. That would be their content. So you need to be kind of careful with that. But honestly, I think you could probably come up with your own lists by gathering or get PLR or something, and you're formatting in the way that you're putting it into place. Now, this is not, one of the things I wanted to say about this at the beginning, remember guys, if you're doing this, your audience now changes. Your main audience isn't necessarily Amazon. It's these people's clients. It's their audience. Okay. So you don't have to, the whole 3 R's and all of that doesn't really matter so much because the traffic is going to come to, this is something they are giving to their clients. Okay. Now, if you did the 3 R's and were a little bit strategic with getting those keywords and everything that made sense for it to be something open to all of Amazon, as a market, then that could be cool, right? More revenue there. But really what it's a little bit of a shift. Your audience for these, you're using Amazon self-published print-on-demand service to serve their audience instead of to serve Amazon's audience as a whole, okay? Now, them having their book on Amazon, again, just gives them more credibility, but the validating is different. You don't need to validate in the same way because we validate to find where the customers are. Well, we're already going to where the customers are for this book because we're hitting this person's audience, okay?
And I've noticed too, it becomes more, sometimes it's not just one book for them. I'm creating 2 or 3 books. So you don't have to create one book. If you can break it into 3, I highly suggest that as well.
Okay, Nancy asked, do these books provide a stream of income for the business, or are they just to provide value to the business customer, or does it depend on the situation? I would say it depends. It could be whatever they want it to be. They can roll that into their pricing so that, it's not costing them very much to get these printed.
Right.
And the value that they're getting.
I'm doing a challenge in a gym for a women's challenge, and it's we're going to create them, and it's going to be in the pricing of when they join the challenge. So the book's going to be in the price. So basically it's no cost to the business owner.
Right. Okay. And then planners, as in like a wedding planner, you could approach them, or what's the other one? Because I have everything. Travel. Oh yeah, travel agent could have travel journals that they're giving out or selling. They could even just be selling them.
Mhm.
And then church groups. So, oh, okay. So this was interesting. So I was at this homeschool conference last weekend, and one of the guys that was there was selling 2 books in his booth. He had a table with 2 books. And so I went over and talked to him, and he had published them on KDP. And one of them was a book he took about a year or 2 to write. Okay. And then he had this idea of his kids are in church with him, and he wanted them to be taking notes and to be listening, to actively be listening. And so he said he looked at on Amazon, and all of the things that he could find were like activities and games to play. And he wanted them to be actively listening, not just these books that he found looked more like a distraction, and that wasn't what he was looking for. Sometimes maybe that's appropriate, but it wasn't what he was looking for. So he made a book for I forget what it's called. I forget what it's called, but the point of it was for kids to be able to take notes, like sermon notes. So, but sermon notes is a whole nother thing for kids, or not for adults even. And you can hit churches, okay, and they can offer these. They don't even have to have them in their church. They can just have them on Amazon for people if they want to buy them. You could have them in the church. But anyway, at the beginning, he had a whole chapter about how to take notes. And it was kind of written more to kids. You know, if you mess up, it's not academics right now, it's for you. So just put a line through it. Don't worry about erasing or anything like that, and just keep going. Don't get stuck there. And just like that, listening for the main point, just different things in that first chapter. And then every page was just a grid. It was like a 30 by 50 grid. And then on the corner, he had a dog ear line. So you could fold down on the line if you wanted, like if there was a series and you wanted to kind of track it that way. But that was it. That's what he had. And I'm thinking you could go, I told him, I said, you could go, have you gone to your church and asked them if they want these to offer these? Cause this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know? But youth groups, when I was in high school, our youth group had a binder, and that everybody got, and you could take notes and do, you know, they had different things going on in there. So they could do an annual book, and it has the calendar in it for the activities planned for the year or whatever. So lots of different opportunity here. Just start thinking differently. Okay, I wanted to see if we hit any other questions real quick. Yeah, Andrew, we could talk. Will you cover some basic strategies to offer to business for repeat type journals, like a 30-day monthly gym challenge or 6 weeks to do X? I think that is an awesome way to think. A quarterly thing, maybe there's, you know, so you do have repeat business with them. We can tap into that a little bit. And I know that there's a question, Nancy, that you posted, which we'll get to your question in a minute, because we're going to cover that. So, so who do you know? Where do you frequent? Those are the types of things to think about. And we will have a homework assignment at the end, and this is going to be part of it. So just kind of be brainstorming, thinking that through. Now, the next is approaching businesses. And I'm telling you guys, what we're offering for them is super easy. How many of you guys have been through the 10 books in 10 days and have 1 book published? Put it in the chat. And I know there's only 12 people on here, so we'll see what we get. But how many have, or even if you haven't been through the 10 books in 10 days, but you have 1 book published, even if it's a lined journal. Okay. What you know how to do, they don't know how to do. Now that you've done it, I promise you it's easy. Okay. The first time is the hardest time, because you have all these questions and all these unknowns, and when am I going to do the cover, and how do I do this? But now you've gone over so many hurdles. You have all that under your belt, and the next book will be much easier. If you did 10, the next 10 will be much easier, I promise. But what you know now, they don't know. Okay. But I'm telling you, what you know it's way easier than they think it is. Okay. So the way that you're going to approach them, we're going to talk about 3 steps to this process. First of all, you need to know what to say. Okay. How to approach them. In the private label group that I teach private label with Ryan Rieger, we have a magic question. So we have a magic phrase that we're going to share with you. I might call it the magic question on accident, but you know, whatever. And then you're going to know, we're going to talk about know what to say. You're going to schedule a time with them, and then we're going to tell you how, and we're going to talk about how to do that, and then how to be prepared. Okay. So know what to say. You do not say, it's so easy. Don't let them know that secret. And it's not, I don't think it's being deceptive or anything like that. It's really not part of their business model. They don't need to be doing this.
Right.
Okay?
And they're busy. They're, yes. Business owners are busy. They don't really have time to do that. This is your business. So Jenny taught me this right from the beginning. When I asked her, I said, oh, this is so easy. And she goes, don't say it's easy. So I said, okay. So I took that out of my vocabulary, because it is easy because what you've taught us, but it isn't easy because they don't have the skill. They don't even know. They don't have a clue it's even available, let alone do it.
Right.
So.
Right. Exactly. And, I'll tell you a little secret. So in the 10 books in 10 days, we've done it 5 times, maybe 6 times. Can't remember, but we started in the fall. And Hallie, she's 16. She had turned 16 when we did it. So when she was 13, she started, that's when she started learning KDP on her own. She was kind of self-taught. She understood the idea from me, but she figured it out. So after the first class, she's like, I feel a little bit guilty because this is so easy. And I don't feel like I'm doing it much, like for the return. And I said, hold on, that's not the way to think. You learned this when you were 13. You've had 3 years of experience that you are now sharing. And that's valuable. So you guys have invested in your education for this, and there's value there. Whether it's easy or hard is actually irrelevant. You have invested in this, and now you are bringing this skill and this service to them. Okay. So don't devalue that by saying this is so easy. Right. So Tammy, what do we say? What do you say? This is the magic phrase. This is the magic phrase.
So what I found is when I came up with, I didn't want to say I was a publisher. When I first started going out, I wasn't quite sure what to call myself. So I started saying I create customized logs, trackers, and journals and workbooks. And when you say create, it kind of gave a different spin, and customize is the magic word. And they just are so excited when you say custom. You mean I could have my own book? Yes. Yeah. So this one phrase just opens up a lot of doors for you. And then I feel comfortable saying I create them. I don't want to say I'm a publisher and an author and all these things. For me personally, this is a personal thing too, but I do create them, and that's what I do.
Right. So. I think you could say you publish, but I think that the create brings in a creative side. There's just a nice twist to this of how it's presented. Another way is to bring up that they're branded. But I love customized because that implies I can make it however I want it. And I don't have to, maybe I don't have a brand yet. So then branded kind of throws me off. So I create customized logs, trackers, journals, and workbooks. And that will open up doors to really, what does that mean?
Right.
You know? And
I sell them, and they're sold on Amazon. That's a whole other key point, is people understand, oh, you can create these, but then they're on Amazon, and they're really, it's like, yeah. So that's, you can start with those conversations right there. Those are 2 things you can bring up.
Right. And so if you're going somewhere where you don't frequent and you've never been there before, but you know that this would be a really cool thing for them, you can approach them this way and say, hey, I create customized, maybe you think a journal would be really good, or a workbook. I create customized journals for small businesses. And I think that I have some really cool ideas that I think you guys might be interested in that could be a win-win for your clients, and and you start the conversation there. And then throw in Amazon.
Yeah, that's
throw in Amazon.
Yeah, because a lot of people know they can buy books on Amazon, but they didn't know they could buy their book on Amazon.
Right. Okay. So next, then once you've approached them, you want to schedule a time with them. Okay. Okay. When I was a waitress, we knew when people came and with an application, if they came during the lunch rush, there was no way they were getting the job. I'll just tell you that. But the people that, you go between 2:30 and 4:30. That's like the time when the restaurant's slow and you can actually have an opportunity to talk to somebody that matters. Paying attention to that and to their schedule is super important and valuable. It shows that you're being respectful to them. But would you recommend being ready to talk to them right there, right then, all the details?
No, I mean, it once in a while it's going to happen, but mostly just the high level and to get them talking. And then I like to schedule time with them to sit down. So it gives them a little time to process what you've just told them. And then sometimes the ideas just start flowing, and it just kind of happens a little bit there. But then the real details are going to be when you have a scheduled meeting. So.
Right. So you could even give them, you could give them a journal and say, hey, I know I just talked a lot about, I bet you're not going to sleep tonight. You're going to have all these wheels turning and everything. So here's a journal that you can just write your ideas on.
Exactly. That's a good one, Jenny. I like it. Yeah, no, it's fun to see. It's that part I really enjoy when you do get through the process a little bit and just give them ideas, and you all of a sudden the light bulb comes on and they go, could you do this? They start asking, can you do this? Can you do that? Yeah.
I love it.
It is exciting. So then we do schedule time, because there is a lot more detail, like usually just over the high level of what you could even do for them, and then schedule time to have time to talk.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then be prepared. Okay. So you're going to know what to say. You're going to go in ready to schedule a time, maybe have an idea of what your calendar is going to look like. Okay. So that you can not sit there and go, well, let me see. No, I can't do it then. I can't do it then. And they're like they're open to it, but you've already shut them down on 2 different times that they're scheduling. So be prepared with that. And then also be prepared by having ideas of the types of books that their clients might be interested in. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have examples of those types of books. Like what you were saying, you just had the first time, guys, if you've already published a book, get a copy of that, not a proof, but an author copy, and bring it with you. You did all 10, right? In the 10 books. And did you bring all 10 with you?
I did. I did. Because I didn't think about, I just thought, oh, I have all these. I had the glossy cover, I had the matte cover, I had the different sizes. I had some books were black and white inside, color inside. I didn't know what they were going to be looking for. So I thought I'll just show them what I have. And that's when a lot of the wheels started spinning, because they're, oh, a journal, it could be color, it could be black and white, it could be both, it could be glossy, it just added to the conversation. It made it a little easier for them to understand.
Right. But think about like, okay, and you use this group too, like, oh, hey guys, I'm going to go approach our realtor. What types of books can I suggest that they have that they could use this for? How can I suggest that I help them? So we've already thrown out some ideas for that with, for a new buyer, it's, how to maintain maintenance on their home. And maybe something along those lines for someone who's selling. Maybe there's a book on, things
preparing your home for
prepare it. Yeah. So if you're stuck, use the Facebook group. Say, hey, I'm going to approach this type of business. How can let's brainstorm with you. We're happy to do that, so that you have a plan of what about these types of books? And once you start throwing out a couple ideas, then that's what, Tam's like, well, can you do this?
Right.
And
they'll start giving you, they'll start asking you, you can, so sometimes you have to throw a little bit out, then you just sit back and let them, and they just come up with all the ideas, and then you just keep writing them down and working it through.
Okay. So what to bring when you're approaching a business? 1, book samples, pricing options, and also you want to be able to explain to them the print on demand process, which you touched on earlier. So book samples, you want them to be able to see the glossy versus the matte covers. Okay. If you have lined journals, which you should, you should have at least one. If you've done the 10 books in 10 days, that's what we did, right? You don't have to have one of each of these, but whatever you have, bring it so that they can touch and feel it and flip through it and see, my goodness, this is a real book.
Yeah.
And it looks like a real book that I would buy at the store, and it feels like a real book.
Yeah, that's great quality.
Yep. So bring those with you for sure. And if you don't have a sample,
make one.
You can make one.
And I highly suggest making, like I said, different styles and types of books. Just, the content doesn't really matter as much as just having the gloss, the matte, the sizes, so that you can show them.
Okay. then, and think about like, what I would do, what I was gonna say is don't get the proof. Make sure you're doing author copies because the proof has the watermark now on the front. It didn't used to. It used to just say proof on the back page. So you could use that, but you need to order an author copy. So you actually have to have some books that are published, order those author copies, and so they're not paying much, and then just bring those. Cream paper, white paper, colored interior, glossy and matte. But you can have, you know, a glossy with cover with white paper inside. So there's two things that they're seeing, you know, so you just probably need 2 or 3 books to bring, but whatever you have, bring it. You don't have to have everything to start. No. Whatever you have, bring it. And then as you get going, you can bring what you've done for other companies as samples. So pricing options, you will need to be prepared to discuss options for pricing. Okay. And guess what? We're going to talk about that next week. And that was the spot where Tammy got stuck. And there is actually a lot to think about. It's not just you looking at, okay, Amazon charges this much, so I'm going to charge this much more. And then, I mean, you need to think about, how are we going to split royalties? Is it going to be on my KDP account or their KDP account? Are they going to order their copies on Amazon directly, or are they going to order author copies from me and I ship them? What if I don't want to do this anymore?
Right.
How do I get out of that? What's my exit strategy?
And we went through all of this. I ran up against this, so I had to create the whole plan. So Jenny and I will share the plan with you. So don't worry, we have it all worked out for you. It is a little bit overwhelming at first, but we broke it down, make it simple, have great strategies for you.
It doesn't have to be overwhelming because we're going to tell you all the things you need to think about. Okay. I think the overwhelm comes with, wait a second, how do I do this? And so there is a lot to think about, but we will share that all. The whole next week is going to be talking about being prepared with your pricing options and what that looks like and what to be considering. Now, it might look different from your one client to the next. Okay. But we will show you how you can manage that. And it doesn't have to be difficult or complicated.
Right.
And then finally, you want to make sure that they understand this print on demand process. This is gold for them, because when they're thinking about publishing books, they're thinking they've got to order for it to make any sense for them per book, or to even to get it published. They have to have loads of book, 1,000 copies or 500 copies of books sitting in their storage room.
And I bring this topic up almost every time I talk with a business owner, is this exact statement, is that you do not have to have, there's, a minimum order stacked up, and they all been through it. They all know they've had literature printed with different, names, this and that, and then it's stacked up in their office, and a lot of money sitting there because you usually have to do 1,000. Right. And now they're like, I don't have to do 1,000. I said, no, you could do 1 to 99 and beyond.
Yep. So really what you're wanting to do is communicate that expectation with them, and it really does blow them away. It really blows them away. So your homework is, and we'll put a worksheet up, is to list out, brainstorm a little bit. Guys, take some time to think about the businesses that are around you. I'll post these slides in the group. And then, so you should, by next week, have a list of 10 businesses. If you want to post them in the group, you can. Okay. I'm not super concerned about competition. Most of what you'll be doing will probably be local to your area, but if you don't want to post them, it's totally fine. But you're going to want to come up with 10 different businesses that are potential. You don't need to approach them yet. Wait till we get through next week where we talk about pricing, so you are really confident. And then also, if you don't have a book that you can bring, then you're going to want to create a sample book. Okay, get that done under your belt and get an author copy sent your way. So that is the homework. And I'm going to finish up here, and then we have questions, and we can hang out and talk a little bit more. So next week, today we did who to approach and how to approach them. We talked about the magic phrase. Okay. I create customized workbooks, logs, trackers, and journals, or whatever order you want to put those in. Yep. And I get them on Amazon. That is the door opener for you. Next week, we're going to talk about pricing strategies, like we said. Okay. And there's a lot to think about there, but we will cover it all for you. So you don't want to miss next week. And then after that, you'll be prepared and ready to be able to start approaching. But homework, list 10 businesses for yourself. Go get a spiral notebook.
Create your own book.
Create your own book. 10 businesses that are potentials for you. And then if you don't have a book already that you can bring as a sample, go ahead and create that. Okay, there was a couple of questions. Melody said, how do you suggest we start researching what to put in a journal for different types of businesses? I just had this conversation with my daughter yesterday, I think. And I said to her, go to Amazon and look for, or Barnes and go somewhere, a bookstore of some sort. Amazon's probably a good choice. And look at business journals. Look at food tracker.
Logs and trackers. That's where I got a lot of my information. I just looked at a lot of the samples, and actually the gym owner had about 5 books that he had that he didn't like, and we combined all the
things
he liked and put it in the book. So that's a great suggestion, is just go to Barnes and Nobles or wherever you're Amazon and look at the interior pages. Don't copy them, but make it your own.
Right.
Make it your own and make and then you'll have those ideas to suggest to them. And the business owner has a lot of ideas already. So you're not going to be stuck usually. It's a brainstorming situation. So it's not all on you.
Right. Okay. I wanted to see if I can pull this up and show you another place you can go. My goodness, my thing's slow. Let me see here. There is a place on Canva where you can look at templates.
Yeah.
But they changed their, let me see if I can find it. They changed their layout. And so I can't find anything anymore.
Yeah, they did. There's under templates. You can go to the
right, and I don't see where that is. That's what I'm trying to find.
It's on the top.
Ads. Because I wanted to show you guys. Okay, let me see if I can. Once I get in there, if it'll. Yeah, it goes to the old. Okay, one second, because this is pretty amazing.
They updated that. That was great. It was a lot of new templates and.
Come on, templates, come up. Oh, there they are. Okay. That's not what I'm looking for. So they used to have a thing, maybe you know where I can find this. I'll show this anyway. I'm going to share. Wait, here. Okay, can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. So what I did was I went from Canva to create design, clicked on something, and it brought me here. And then I went to templates. Now they used to have a thing where it was a list, and that's what I was looking for.
Yeah, they had it. Yeah, they used to have it so you could just find different.
You could do like recipes, and it would have a whole bunch then of pages that were like recipes or lesson plans, and it would have a whole bunch of templates about lesson plans. So
put it in the search templates like lesson plan just to see if it'll.
Right, so that'll bring up those, but there was a list, and so what was cool about that was there were things I hadn't even thought of before.
Right, I thought it would give you the toolbar of that, but
no. But here's the thing. So here's a bunch of templates to get some ideas. Okay, read the license, because from what I understand, you cannot sell these blank like this. Right. You cannot sell them as they are. So you need to change them, and maybe you just keep, but use this for inspiration. Okay, look and see what are in lesson plans. Well, this one has more than this one does.
Right.
You know?
In the format. Sometimes I've taken the format of one and another and added them all together in the sense that, and created my own.
Right.
Really,
okay.
but
how about like a food diary? Let's see if that brings anything up.
Food log.
Idea. Food log. No. Nope.
Nope. Same ones.
What would you, the recipe? I know that I'm not finding it. There was a list.
Yes, there was. Yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, But that's another idea. I would probably go to start at Amazon and just look there at what people are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I take pictures of them just because I want to keep it in my, if I'm at Barnes and Nobles, I take a lot of pictures of the interior of the book, so I can remember and refer back to it.
For inspiration.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got here.
Also, in 10 Books for 10 Days, we learned how to make a plain lined interior. I don't know how to make a detailed interior or even add that blurb on the back cover. Will you be going over that at all or giving instructions and tools to do that with? Not really, but you can go ahead and ask questions. Melody, you should be, I think you're in the insiders group. That's where I would ask questions about that. But Canva is pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And kind of fun to play around. You can hire that out too. Sometimes even the business owner will they might already have worksheets that they give out.
Right.
And can give that to you. You just need to put it into the template that KDP has. There might be a little bit of a learning curve for you early on, but you'll get through it real quick. As far as the back cover, just choose, if you're doing a template that's on the KDP cover creator, you just choose a template that has that on the back, and then you just type the text in there in the template like you do it for the title.
Yeah. And there's a whole, in Canva, there's a lot of instructional videos, which is helpful because you have to take the picture and you have to upload a picture, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff too.
Right. But the how-to is a little bit beyond. The how to create the books isn't really what this class is about. We're going to be focusing a lot on the business side and how to approach businesses and how to set that up. The book part, honestly, that's really not a hard thing. You can outsource it. I was talking to Hallie. We could do some things where we do live over the shoulder on Canva in the insiders group. So there's some things that we can do. You can get templates from different places. I know, Tammy, that maybe there's interest for template packs where the interior pages are already mostly done for you. Tammy and I were talking about that as being something to offer in the insiders group. So there's ways to get around that. Don't get stuck on that.
Yeah. And when you first go out, you don't have to go. When I first started, some people were asking me for a lot more information to be in the book, and I wasn't quite ready. So I said, let's just start with a journal, or let's just start with, a little bit of a tracker. You have to go at your own pace, depending where you're at in this whole part of books. So don't.
And then what happened? Weren't they like absolutely? So that was the one you just showed with the Iomi.
Iomi was a journal first. That was the second journal.
Right. So the first one was lines,
a date and lines. That's it. But with her cover, with her logo and her cover.
And was she thrilled to see that?
Oh gosh, I think she cheered up. I think she cried a little. She was so happy.
I love it.
It was so touching and all that. So you guys are gonna love that part. But yeah, then we went to a second book, and I had just gotten through a little more of the process. I was brand new in the 10 books, 10 days, and I was trying to figure it out too. So don't think you can't figure it out on the fly. You will, and ask us, ask questions in the group. We're all there to help you.
Yep. You have a support team here. Yeah. So, okay. Tim says, we're just starting to partner with businesses to help them sell their physical products on Amazon. Do you think this model can work well for brands that sell physical products, or do you see this mostly working for service-based businesses? Okay, so when we talked, I think this would be great for bundling.
Yeah, I do too.
And you need to think about, what are they selling? So, okay, Jim Cockrum's first book that he wrote, and I don't know if this is emphasized so much in the later versions. First book that he wrote is the one that got me going. And there were two things that he told me that he said, and it was all about eBay. Okay, the book was actually titled The Silent Sales Machine Hiding on eBay at the time. So this was like 15, 16 years ago. And the first thing he said that I learned from that has had an impact on me was that eBay was a tool. eBay was not my business. It was a tool. Same is true for Amazon. Amazon is a tool. And if you start thinking of Amazon as your business, then you're working for Amazon. Promise you that. Secondly, he said, now this is a little different and you need to get creative about this. With eBay, we were learning how to harness the traffic that was coming to our listings. So we wanted to be in a niche so that we could have the same traffic going to all of our listings. So the question that he would ask then, and then we would serve them with some sort of information product. So the question was, if my customers are interested in this, they might also be interested in blank. And it's the same thing here. If you're partnering with businesses that are already established and they have some sort of market or niche that they're focused in, ask that question. If their customers are interested in this, what else might they be interested in? And be thinking information. If they're focused in the wine industry, then their customers might be interested in a wine tasting journal. Okay. And they can bundle those with their products. It increases that perceived value for their products and they make more profit.
Yeah.
So,
I was just thinking with Tim's idea, I was just thinking of like, say it's a barbecue sauce, a customized, someone makes a barbecue sauce. What about putting a barbecue book with it?
Yep.
You know, it goes hand in hand together.
Yep.
A barbecue book. It doesn't have to be, you know, it could be 24 pages. It doesn't have to be something huge, you know, elaborate.
Right.
It could be very, very simple recipes that they have for their own barbecue sauce. You know,
Yep.
So that's another thing, is they may have barbecue recipes, but they don't know how to get them out there. So you could combine the two together.
Yep. Absolutely. Would alcoholic wine beer be under 18 plus mature content though? I
don't know. No, I don't
that's
know.
a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
So with I think that's, I don't know. When you go, I haven't really thought about that. When you go to Amazon and you look at like wine tasting books or wine tasting games or wine tasting, even placemats where they have, you know, they're like disposable placemats that you can, you know, they put the different wines on. I don't know if those are listed as
I don't think they would content. Be, because I think it's more if you're swearing or using bad language. I think that's what I would take it as, but
maybe read the fine print to make sure, but that's kind of where I'm leaning to.
Yeah.
Minimum amount of pages in a KDP book is 24, and you can have 4 blank pages in there. Okay. You don't have to do wine though, or alcohol. No. You can do chocolate or cheese.
Yep.
Okay. Lots of opportunities.
Gosh, there's so much. We could just go on and popcorn. Yeah. There's all kinds of,
Okay, there's one more question in the,
okay.
Let's see. Nancy asks, when you approach a business and you tell them you create books, do you let them tell you what kind of book they would like, or do you have to suggest something for them? For example, I live near dog training facilities, but I don't have any idea for a book for them. Do I leave it to them to come up with something, or do you really need to come up with an idea and suggest it to them? I think you would want to get the ball rolling. They might not have a clue what you're talking about.
But that's what you said. You could go to Barnes and Nobles or go online, look at a few dog training books, see what's in the content, and then just have those ideas. So I do a little bit of homework depending on the business. If I don't know that business very well, I would do a little bit of homework before I got there. But they're going to still, if you have a little bit of knowledge, then they'll provide you with all that.
Yep, you'll get those.
They're the experts in their field, so you don't have to be an expert.
Another place to look I just thought of was Pinterest. Okay. Yeah. So Pinterest is really cool if you're looking for checklists or something like charts. So let's say you don't know and you're going and you're looking on Amazon, and what you're finding is all these like Amazon training tips, that type of a thing, which could be what their book is. It could just be full of tips. But maybe you go on Pinterest and you look, and all of a sudden there's you see like a log for, hold on, I'm going to actually look and see if I can bring up an example, because that's the best way I think to learn. But I've found like, you know, food tracking logs, they're on Pinterest. Look there for some ideas.
Exercise is a big one on there. It's all kinds of.
Yep. I'm just looking.
Wonder if a fashion log would be in there at all. You know, something that people like to put this outfit together, especially business people who are traveling need to. Yeah. I don't know, just an idea out there. It's just, there's so many options.
Okay, I'm just going to show you what came up when I went to Pinterest. I searched dog training log. Okay. I don't know what these look like. Socialization chart.
Right. So charts are a good one.
Service dog training looks like an application.
I created one with for children that with their new dog, a new dog, and basically kept track of what their food, how much they were feeding the
Right.
dog, training the dog. And this was for a children's book that I created.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And it was just same idea, kind of basically a picture, a spot for a picture with your dog and that kind of thing. Mine was a book, not for a business, but for to sell on Amazon. But it had the same thing, a training chart.
Yep.
How did you play with the dog? Did he get to run?
And if you have a family, so we have a puppy who's almost 2, but when we took him to training, there were 5 of us in the family, and she's like, okay, so each of you for 10 minutes a day need to do this. So we could check off, if we had a book, we could track who did their time.
Yeah.
And did the dog fully get all of its training time in today? So you cannot use these, but you can use these for inspiration. Guys, you could go to Fiverr and for $5 say, can you create something like this for me in a Word document?
Yeah.
And then you can edit it. You have the Word document and you just save it as a PDF to upload it into KDP.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can download the template with the margins from KDP, give it to your Fiverr person. They might already know about KDP. And for $5, get something that somebody's creating for you. My puppy potty chart.
Take these examples and just mix and match them. If you want to create like a Canva situation, just don't take them directly. Just change them up.
Just use them for ideas.
So if you wanted your template to sort of look like that one.
This one?
Yeah, that one there. So you want, grooming log on the top, you could use something like that and then change the bottom. And I change stuff all the time.
Make it look different. Don't have this.
Don't have those pictures.
Yep. But you can have the same type of information. I mean,
basically the information is very similar to most logs trackers logs are very similar.
Yep. It's going to be the same across the board. So what you want to do is look what's making this unique and take that off and make your own, have your own pictures or whatever. So just wanted to share that. So Pinterest can be a really good place as well. So I'm going to stop our share. So I think, let me make sure, but I think we hit, Did
we get everybody's questions?
I think we got everybody's questions. Okay, guys. So here's what's going to happen next. I'm going to, when we get off here, thank you for hanging out. I know we went a little bit long and we had a rough start, but I appreciate your patience. If you have questions, post them in the group. Please tag me, tag Tammy. I don't know what is up, but I will get a notification like 2 days later, a day or 2 later after it was posted in the group. It never showed up on my feed in the group. Even if I go to the group, it doesn't show up. And then I'll look and I'll see this was posted yesterday, but my notifications on Facebook says it was posted 5 minutes ago. It's really weird. I'm not seeing everything. So you just be patient with me and make sure you're tagging. That helps us see those for sure. But we're here to help you and to answer your questions. Remember your homework. We will post a homework post and you'll have something to do once you're done with your homework so we can celebrate with you.
Yes.
But you're going to list out, brainstorm through, who do you know? What do you know? What jobs have you held? What experiences do you have? Where do you frequent? Okay. Or you can go to that other list. I'll post the slides of, what kind of trainers are there in my area? What kinds of coaches are there? The life coaches, business coaches. Start looking locally for those types of things, people you can approach, and make a list of 10 businesses, not types of businesses, but actual businesses that you can, that have a potential for you to work with, that you can approach, that you think you can approach. Okay. And then if you don't have a sample book yet in your hands, go order one of your books or create one so that you can have at least one sample that you can show somebody. And if you have a friend that has a business, when we get to pricing, we'll talk about, you ultimately could make it so that you have a setup fee and a delivery fee. So at the end, they pay, maybe it's a $500 setup fee. They pay $250 up front, $250 when the project's done. And then you make a royalty a commission off of each book. Okay. You could totally do that. To start out, you might want to say, hey, we'll talk about this next week, but say, hey, usually I charge $500 setup fee, but I'm going to waive that and let's just split profits on the book. So there's no out-of-pocket costs for you. Then you get experience under your belt. You're going to be earning some money from the books, and that book is residual and will continue on. That money will continue on as long as they're continuing to have clients that they're selling the books to. Okay. So you don't have to go and when you say, hey, yeah, I charge $500 for a setup fee, but I'm going to waive that. That's like, really? That's so cool. When you tell them there's no out-of-pocket costs and I'm going to end up with books to sell, like, really? That's so cool. I mean, they would have to buy their books if they're going to sell them in the stores, but they can also point people just to Amazon. So there's different ways. We'll talk about that next week, but I just want to let you know that you can work with businesses in a way that they get super excited about this. You're not burdening them. You are providing them with something that they usually have no idea about. So if there's a business, a friend, maybe you know a friend who's a therapist, say, hey, I'm working on this new thing and I'd love to work with you on this. That won't cost you anything. I'd love to provide this for you. Can we work together? And that can kind of just get that first client under your belt and give you some confidence, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So go ahead. I think we hit the questions. Do you have anything else that you want to?
No, I think that's true. I think the only thing I think for our group right now is don't get too far ahead of yourself. Don't worry about pricing. Don't worry about it. Just get 10 different businesses that you can come up with. Just take that action right there.
Yep. Yes. Awesome. Yeah. Because we are all about wanting to help you take action. And I have learned from that 10 books in 10 days class and other classes that I've taught that I know you guys want to jump ahead and go start talking to people. But that might overwhelm you. So stick with the homework and we'll get there. I promise. Okay. And you don't want to miss next week talking about pricing, because there's a lot of details there that maybe you haven't even thought of that have been thought through, and different solutions for different scenarios. Yeah. So, 22 wineries. That's 22 businesses right there.
And that might not be just one book. That might be multiple books. That's what I look at.
Right. But your interior could be all the same and your covers are different for each. They're custom to each winery.
Yep. And you only have to do the interior once.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Great. That's
very cool.
Go Jean.
Yeah. Okay. So post your questions in the group. This video will probably be posted for replay. Give me 24 hours. All right. But I promise I'll get it up there. It'll be a YouTube link. So if you have trouble with the Facebook stuff, you can get it right off of YouTube and see it there. So it should be good quality. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a great night, guys.
Yeah. See you later.
See ya.